Good morning to Jason Kelce. How are you,
Morning,
pal?
Joe. How we doing,
Good,
guys?
bud. How are you?
Good.
You know, some people are saying you got that Yukon Cornelius look going. I saw that the other day.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I mean, yeah, I think that's accurate. And you kind of are continuing it right now, but without the head thing.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and by the way, it's not an insult. I mean, this guy was involved in helping save Christmas, man. Rudolph.
I mean, he's the star of the show.
He's a big deal.
Yeah.
Without him, Rudolph and Santa don't get up in the air.
I take it as a major compliment.
It is. It is. All right, Jason with us as he is every Thursday at this time. Brought to us by Garage Beer. The garage always open. Light beer like it used to be, and certainly like it still is with Garage Beer. Find Garage Beer at your local retailer or at drinkgaragebeer.com. That's drinkgaragebeer.com, official beer of the Kelce brothers and dads everywhere. So, Jason, what a week, man. I mean, you played in one of those snow games, but not with the implications of the last game to get to an NFC Championship game. What'd you make of it, man?
I just love snow games so much. I mean, it just makes it more magical. I think there's something that is just really deep-rooted from when you're a kid and you're out there and you get a snow day off from school, you go out with your buddies, you start playing tackle football because it doesn't hurt. And, you know, there's something that just right away just like puts you in that mindset. And it was coming down hard. It's so funny watching video from the first half of that game and then watching video in the second half.
Sure.
The disparity of no snow anywhere, and then all of a sudden it's a full-on blizzard. So it was great. It was playoff football, and obviously Saquon breaking out that big run late was huge.
Yeah, massive. So I'm going to give you the biggest layup question, just because I'm interested in hearing you talk about it from this standpoint. Mm-hmm. You got to be really proud of your buddies, right?
Oh, of course.
I mean, with the way it ended last year, the bounce back this year, I mean, what an achievement and a real shot to win a Super Bowl. And I know you're still so close to so many of them.
For sure. And, you know, I mean, listen, I know the collapse last year was bad, but, you know, we started out, 10-1?
Yep.
And, you know, I thought we had great talent last year, and I definitely knew we had really good talent this year. And the draft picks have panned out. The young guys have really stepped up. The new, you know, the free agents they've signed in the offseason, like Zach Bond, have really panned out for the most part. And the two coordinators they've hired have done a fantastic job. So it's no shock that they've turned this around this quickly. And, yeah, I'm immensely proud of all the guys I played with, everybody in that building, because it's hard, you know, when you lose a lot of games consecutively to maintain that focus and that work ethic and that team focus attitude.
Yeah.
Because that's really what losing does. It starts to separate teams. It starts to separate people into, like, you know, why are we losing? What's happening? And everybody goes into their own narratives of why it's not their fault. And then it just is like a huge, you know, it's just a dysfunctional mindset.
Is it a prime credit to Sirianni and Hurts as major leaders for holding that together?
I think it absolutely is. I think both of those guys, I think Nick has faced a lot of criticism all offseason.
Yeah.
And for him to continue to right the ship and just keep his head down, keep moving forward, keep making the team focused and improving. And I think that it's been a masterful job by him. And, of course, Jalen Hurts to bounce back and get back to the NFC Championship game. And whenever you're the quarterback, you're the head of the offense and in a position of leadership. So, yeah, major testament to both those guys.
Why did it feel like our offense took a step back with the pass protection? When they would get up and do the zone blitzes, we didn't have answers. And now I'm worried about Jergy. I'm worried about Cam not being walk-throughable yesterday. That is not Cam Jurgens like. To be unavailable for a walkthrough, he must really be hurt.
Yeah, I to be honest, I do not know the I guess the extent of those injuries.
Back, which is like, holy cow. You know, like when it's your back and you can't even put your socks on, when you can't even like go to the bathroom right. It is so hard to do anything.
There's no question. I don't want to comment too much on it because I just don't know the
we
specifics
have no idea.
of it. But I do know that I think that, first of all, the Rams' defensive front are phenomenal at rushing the passer. They don't have anybody that's really that like high name profile. Like they don't have Aaron Donald anymore, right?
Yeah.
But they play really well together. They rush well as a unit. They run games well. I thought that we would perform really well against them, and I think that certain things made it look worse than it was, in my opinion. There were some bad plays out there by those guys, but for the most part, I thought the line played well across the board outside of a few snaps.
So it looked worse than it was, so you're less worried about the zone blitzes getting home because you feel like it won't happen moving forward as much?
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about it. I think that they got home a couple times. I think the snow and elements have a way to magnify things that I'm not as concerned about, to be honest with you.
All right, Jason in studio with us for about an hour, 215-592-9490. Let's get some calls in here. Obviously, with Jason, we'll preview the Eagles in Washington, the Jaden Daniels thing. I mean, that guy's been incredibly impressive, but the Eagles, let's be real, have been more impressive and are likely to win this game. Let's go to the phones. JP right now in Plymouth meeting. Good morning, JP.
Hey. Good morning, guys. How's it going? Jason, sir, it's always a pleasure. It's an honor.
Hey.
I'm talking to the guys that work here, Jason, and we think that you should dress up in your mummers gear and lead the team out on Sunday.
Oh, man.
I'm so confident with the defense and the run game. Like, everything is just going our way.
Yeah.
I can't get more excited. The defense is phenomenal. Saquon is just like, he finally has an offensive line. He's the guy that you never wanted to face on your team, but you always wanted him to have on your team.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, a lot of people crush the Giants for what's happened with Saquon this year. But, I mean, if you go back and watch the previous seasons with Saquon, he hasn't had these years in New York and wouldn't be this valuable. The big reason he has been this valuable is because he's with a unit that can give him the opportunity to make these incredible plays. So
part of what's a shame, Jason, though, he may not make the Hall of Fame when he could have if he had had a real line
there's no question.
for 6 years, because his numbers just aren't even close.
Well, this is just proof that he could have been doing this all along
right.
with a good. I mean, don't get me wrong. This isn't just like a good offensive line. This is a fantastic offensive line.
Yeah.
So it's married with a guy who's an incredible talent that can. I mean, really his vision, but then the ability to score 70 and 80-yard runs. I mean, that's such a dagger to teams. It's a shame that they weren't able to be. And it's not like they didn't try. They drafted high picks. They invested in the line in New York.
Totally.
It just didn't pan out for a number of reasons, whether it's, players didn't pan out, coaches didn't pan out, systems, and then there's reshuffling. And, it sucks that it took it this long for it to be noticed on the NFL scale.
JP, give me an answer for what transcended entertainment.
TikTok.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
TikTok.
TikTok. You got it, buddy. Well, that's
it's a technological thing.
James, it's okay. It's a form of entertainment, and it's become it's a international issue. Of course, that transcended entertainment.
Yeah.
You disagree?
I think we're talking about different things.
Is it a form of entertainment?
Sure.
Has it transcended just entertainment where now we have countries arguing about it? It's transcended entertainment.
National security threat.
I mean, Ben, this guy here, man. I mean, right, Jason?
It's a technological thing. Like, I thought we were talking about an actual piece of entertainment. Like, We Are the World is a song.
James, you ready for this? Here's what the question was. What transcended entertainment? That was the question. Ben, why do I have to slow it down for this guy sometimes?
All right,
well,
that is not right,
Go
Joe.
Figure. The expectation was that it would be entertainment that would be given.
We
for
just
an
thought it was a
answer.
different side topic.
What
right.
entertainment transcended entertainment?
Exactly. That was the point of the side.
Technology transcended and changed entertainment.
Exactly. It's a technology. It's a different thing.
I was about to say, TikTok isn't TikTok isn't entertainment by itself. It's a platform where people put entertainment on.
Thank you.
You're right. All right, John, what would you have there? You had something you were about to ask, Jason.
Oh, geez. All right. So the Washington hit on this quarterback very clearly.
Yeah.
But they've got certain disadvantages working against them. How bad is it for road games in a row? We know that this team's hot, but 4 road games in a row, how much does that wear on you this time of year? I know that you've never had 4 playoff games in a row.
Yeah, I guess I haven't.
But I'm sure that's hard.
Yeah, there's no question. Yeah, yeah, playing away games consecutively, especially against really good opponents. These are physical games that they're playing.
Yeah.
These aren't just like, middle of the season deals. These are one and done, where guys are going as hard as they can, So, I mean,
they just beat the Lions. I mean,
They waxed
have
the Lions.
Lingering remnants of pain for the Commanders too.
But also tremendous adrenaline. I mean, they got to be rolling on
but that's the thing.
High,
it has to end sometime. That adrenaline surge, it does run out.
No.
Like, when does that run out?
Well, sometimes when a team wins it all. I mean, sometimes, right?
Hopefully it runs out this week. It'd be great.
Can we make that run out?
The Commanders have, listen, I have not expected the Commanders team to be at this point all season long. I think that they have a tremendous quarterback who's played really well as a rookie, and their coaches have done a phenomenal job. I think as players, they have good players. I wouldn't say, I'll be very candid. I think the Eagles are better at every position. I don't know that there is one position, if you put the two rosters, the depth charts next to each other, that I would take the Washington player over the Eagle player. And that is a very honest assessment. I think that the Eagles are loaded. In Washington, to their credit, they play extremely well as a team. Dan Quinn is a fantastic coach. They scheme things well. Dan has always schemed us well. Even in Dallas, I didn't think that Dallas was particularly that good on defense last year, and they played us really tough in Dallas. So they're well coached. They play as a unit. They make minimal mistakes. They go for it on fourth down and get it a lot, which increases drives and their opportunities. So they do a lot of things really, really well, which is a big reason they're still here. And they just got done beating the best team in the NFC, arguably, over the last two seasons, pretty candidly in their house. And, I think obviously Detroit had some mistakes that magnified that, but there wasn't a lot of defense played on either side of the ball. But it's going to be a tough game. And, Washington, when your quarterback is playing that well and you're that disciplined as a team, it's really hard to beat teams like that.
You brought up an interesting point I hadn't heard anyone else say. Maybe some people have said it, maybe they've thought it, but I hadn't heard it. Dan Quinn has coached against the Eagles many, many times in the last couple of years. Twice a year for however many years he was in Dallas.
And then he was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
We played,
So he knows this attack, which hasn't varied that much. Some of the personnel's changed, obviously, but the basic structure.
There's a lot of familiarity.
Yeah.
With familiarity, there's plays, every time you go into somebody you've played before, you think about the plays that have worked and, let's maybe do this, and this, and then you play him and then he's got answers for that.
Yeah.
So then the next game you go in with answers for that, and then it works maybe, and then there's always this back and forth.
How much does the Jalen knee worry you?
I don't know the severity of it. Obviously, a big part of why Jalen. Listen, we talked about the Saquon run game. A big reason why that's been so good outside of just the line is Jalen's threat to run. The reads, a lot of the things he does with his feet and his athleticism expand and give numbers to the run game. So it's a big component of our offense. It's a big component of his game. I tend to think it's probably not that severe, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah. Right. So I saw after the last time we played him, there was something that went down between Nick and Zach.
Yeah, I saw that.
Do you know what's going on there? Is that just hey, you guys were dumb to let me go anywhere, just talking trash type thing, or what is that?
I don't know. I don't know. It looked like Zach said something to Nick, then Nick said something to Zach, and they started drawing. It feels like they squashed it in whatever press conference was the next day.
Yeah, that's what they said.
I never talked to Zach about it. Didn't talk to Nick about it. So I wouldn't.
Non-issue.
Understood.
Yeah. No, I don't know that it's a non-issue. I don't really know anything about it. Mm-hmm. I did see it, and I know both those guys. I know they're both really competitive. Obviously, Zach left the Eagles, but I don't think he left the Eagles on bad terms. He was kind of wanted to leave the Eagles, is the way I remember it. I think he was in a position at that point in his career where, I think he realized he was going to be better suited going someplace else. He wasn't getting paid. Maybe I don't know. There were all those parameters, but I don't remember him leaving.
Well, we drafted a tight end.
And here's the other thing I'll say: the Eagles were gearing up for a power brand of football, as powerful as we've seen in a long time.
and he's not the power blocking tight end.
And I mean that as no disrespect to Zach, but it's the weakest element of his game, and it's the strongest element of Dallas Goedert's game. And when you're constantly running,
it's a strong element of his game. I think he's good at everything.
Also, if you remember when we got rid of Ertz, it was when they were losing in 2021. Remember, it was like, go let him win was part of the thing, too.
Saying.
Remember that?
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember this being like I want to be here. Like, I think there was multiple reasons why Zach ended up leaving, and I don't think it was a bad terms deal. That's not the way I remember it. That's definitely not the way Zach and I talked about it when it was happening.
All right, 215-592-9494. Let's get to Zach. Reminder, coming up in about 2 or 3 minutes here, your chance to hear a name that with that name you can win tickets to the Eagles in Washington tomorrow. So, don't go anywhere right now. Zach, I don't think Ertz. Zach, somebody else in Medford. Hello, Zach, somebody else.
Unfortunately, I'm not Zach.
That'd be fun.
Are you a Lego?
That sounded amazing.
No, Ertzy, what's up?
Yeah.
I'd appreciate his bank account at least.
Yeah.
You know what you got to do for that bank account, Zach? You got to catch the reception that wins the Eagles a Super Bowl.
There you go.
The only human in human history to have that claim.
And the fourth down catch, too.
And the fourth downer. Anyway, Zach, we like you, too. Hello, buddy.
Big catch this year, too.
Well, thank you so much. I just wanted to start, Jason. My wife, Lex, and I absolutely love you and can't thank you enough for the monumental part of Philadelphia history you've become.
I appreciate it, Zach. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's awesome to have been afforded the privilege to play here, man.
Absolutely. I had two things I wanted to get to. I really think I understand criticism. I understand we've been critical of Jalen Hurts, but the guy wins games, first off, and he's not the only player on the team. Like, we've successfully turned one of the best wide receiver duos into a dark horse because we've had Saquon just destroying teams. So there's a good chance that we see A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith rip one apart because they just haven't been utilized. So they're not expecting it now.
That's possible. There's no question that's possible.
I mean, that's kind of the way I'm going into the game is we have so many pieces that have gone underutilized, and at any point in the rest of the season, we can see them come back into the game in a huge way. And I just would encourage people to be more optimistic on that front.
I think that's certainly a good point, Zach. We can do it any which way we choose. We have chosen to be running the ball an awful lot. And I do think that, the fact that this Commanders team, they haven't done a good job of stopping the run. Even in the postseason, I've heard a lot of people talk about, they've gotten better. Well, 48 rush attempts for 302 yards in 2 games this postseason. I expect that we'll get after it. And with the run, and what we saw in our game against the Rams was even when they put an extra safety down, it doesn't matter anyway. We can call it and run these runs. And Jalen has the options to put to win that play, to win that game, and we're just going to keep doing what we do, which is Zach, obliterate people with smashing them in the face.
Zach, give me what transcended entertainment. We'll see if it meets the seltzer, threshold.
Yeah, we will.
So just one more quick thing. I had a question for you guys, and I'll give my answer.
Sure.
Especially for Jason, what's one player that has been not spoken about enough that has really shown up this season?
All right, Zach, we're gonna get that answer. Give me your answer so you can win the prize. What do you got?
I think this united all of us as a front as NFL fans. It's a little dark, but when Damar Hamlin went down, we all became Bills fans.
It's an interesting answer. Damar Hamlin, certainly it led to a lot of donations while he was still out of it. So
what an amazing! He's he's starting safety for the Bills. Yeah. He's played really well this year. It's unbelievable.
Well, let me give you another one, and then we'll get to Jason's answer. And I got to give a name for these tickets, but I don't know if people saw this with Mark Andrews having dropped that pass.
The donations from the Bills Mafia.
Bills Mafia, yeah.
Bills Mafia.
They're great fans. They really are.
And not as a mockery, really trying to donate.
They before, remember when Andy Dalton, that they've done this before.
They're donating to the charity that Mark Andrews cares about. That's something.
They really actually are kind people.
All right, a couple of things here to get to quickly. First off, it's 94 WIP HD1 Philadelphia as we broadcast today from the Tasty Cake Studio. Jason Kelce with us. Let's give you a name. With this name, you can win tickets to the Eagles versus Washington.
And the name is...
All right, the name is the person that's... We have an NFC Championship winning theme going this week as the Eagles have won 4. We gave you a name Tuesday from the 80 team. We gave you a name yesterday from the 04 team. The name we're giving you today is the person that scored this touchdown from 2017.
Long count. Straightens up. Takes the snap. Here comes the rush. He's hit, and it's intercepted. It's picked off by Robinson. Robinson at the 30. Cuts back across the field. Patrick Robinson looks for a block. Now he's at the 20. He's at the 15, the 10, the 5. Touchdown! Patrick Robinson!
You know, few moments, maybe none, ever in Philly sports turned something bad around as definitively as that.
Completely.
Without a doubt.
It was unbelievable. And by the way, thank God he didn't drop it going in the end zone. He had that thing with one hand and barely got in there. If someone hits that arm, that could be a fumble out the end zone, and then it's the touchback rule old deal. It was a monumental play in 2017.
Yeah, thank God they signed him back. I don't know if you remember it. Like, he was released after training
He was
camp.
horrible in training
Like,
camp, yeah.
He came, I don't know, man. I was so happy and proud of P-Rob for having the season he did that year, and for it all to culminate into that moment was pretty damn awesome.
And he stepped in for half the year playing for Ronald Darby as a starter when Darby got injured. All right, so sort of a similar type thing. So let me just round this out, and then, Jason, we'll get to the answer from the caller.
Sure.
So bottom line is, know the name Patrick Robinson and the other two names that we said the last 2 days as part of this contest. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, you can win tickets to the Eagles versus Washington.
Courtesy of NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy.
We will give you one more name tomorrow, so in total it'll be 4 names you have to say on the contest line to win the prize. Patrick Robinson, obviously, Jason, would be a great answer from 2017, who was a little... I mean, we all loved him, so maybe he wasn't totally underrated, but he came in with no one really knowing who he was.
Right.
The caller is basically asking you, who from this year's team do you think has been a little unheralded that should get more credit than perhaps he has?
I mean, the easy answer that he's getting the credit. He's gotten the credit because he's an all-pro and Pro Bowler, but I think Zach Bond's, obviously his season was freaking out of nowhere. I think a guy that probably doesn't get enough credit, it feels like he gets overshadowed a little bit in that backfield. I would go Reed Blankenship. I think Reed is a really solid player. He's played very well for the Eagles all year round, and obviously Quinyon and Cooper and Slay, those guys have probably gotten a little bit more of the hype, but I think Reed has been very solid. Offensively...
Gainwell, right?
Huh?
Gainwell.
I would go Gainwell.
He's been solid.
Yeah, he's a great third down back. He does a lot of things for the Eagles. He can catch the ball. I always love blocking for him, man. He hits a hole 1,000 miles an hour. He's very aggressive in his running style. Yeah, Kenny, to me, he's been there. I mean, we've always loved blocking for him. I know last year he kind of had a rough start to the season, but Kenny's a great back.
I'll give you one more because I know John's. Well, he's another one.
Milton Williams. Yeah. How on earth is he not a bigger name around the league?
Yeah,
he's really about to get paid.
Good.
He's about to get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had to block him. You've had to try to contend with that.
It feels like he's gotten a lot better this year. I mean, he was always a good player. He's always had the twitchiness. He's very quick. He's very strong. But it feels like he's utilizing his leverage better. He's utilizing his hands better, whether it's power, beating people with quickness. It felt like in previous years, a lot of the plays he made were splash plays where he would jump the snap count or get a guy right now. And now and I think that's good. Those are always, I mean, it's always good to have a splash play, but the consistency wasn't there. I think what you're seeing this year out of Milton is a much more consistency of every down being reliable. And I think that's the key to getting paid and being a starter in my book is like, yeah, you can make those splash plays, but you can't get like caught in a compromising position or get caught out of your gap. I feel like Milton's come a long way this year as a player.
215-592-9494. I'll say it because John won't. Also the punter, Braden Mann. That guy is...
Damn straight, man.
Right?
Damn straight.
I guess I just don't pay attention.
We know you don't. You don't really...
God, it was really impressive what he was able to do in the snow like that.
Yeah, grabbing those, those snaps coming back.
Really impressive.
Yeah, they were left...
Not
they were far outside, man.
You're the only one who thinks it wasn't impressive.
He brought that thing in, and he's a good punter. All right, so...
Coy Detmer.
Well, remember...
No, I do.
Coy saved the 06 playoff game.
That's a great call.
Coy saved the playoff game in 06. There was a bad snap, and he got that thing down for David Akers to kick the winning kick versus the Giants in 06. All right. Obviously, Washington's best player is the quarterback, Jaden Daniels. He may already be a top 5 player in pro football. Donovan McNabb was certainly, or I don't want to say top 5 player, but he might already be a top 5 quarterback. Donovan McNabb was certainly a top 5 quarterback for a good stretch of his tenure here in Philly. He was on WIP earlier this week with Spike, Ike, and Jack. A lot of praise for Jaden Daniels, but also strategy, he thinks, of how the Eagles can try to combat Jaden Daniels. Here's Donovan a couple days ago on WIP.
What is the game plan for somebody like him? Like, if there is one, how do they attack Jaden Daniels?
Must rush. I think what you're going to start to see, tackles and ends staying in their lane and not getting beat and contained outside. And what do? That means now it puts pressure on your secondary, and obviously with one of our best young corners, going out with injury, we like to see what happens with him, and will he be back healthy to be able to play? We definitely need that, but I think you have to go into the must rush where everyone is now pushing and pulling and being in their lane. Anyone kind of get out of their lanes leaves a running lane for him. But with saying that, we got to understand that he's not just a runner. He's delivering the ball from the pocket.
Yes, sir.
And so we can talk so much as if he's scrambling quarterback, as people want to utilize that and use and analyze that way. But he's a pocket passer first, and he is delivering strikes. And so if we leave anybody with a glimpse of being a step open, he's delivering the ball.
All right, that's Donovan. Big praise, obviously, of Jaden Daniels, and it's well-deserved. Jason, the mush rush thing, the Eagles famously used it in 2004 against Michael Vick very effectively in an NFC Championship game. I'm guessing that you were an offensive lineman when Vick was the quarterback that had to deal with it at times when teams would try to do it to you. I mean, can you walk us inside the ins and outs of how it could work?
There's different ways to do that. I don't know what the specific mechanism is with the mush rush, so it's hard to comment on that one specifically. Basically, you're trying to keep the guy in the pocket. You're not trying to let him out. So what a lot of teams will do is they'll push the front of the pocket and they'll collapse the edges and make him feel like he's kind of trapped in there. Very common against mobile quarterbacks or shorter quarterbacks. And then there's other ways where you can rush and you just are really responsible in your lanes and you still allow guys to rush full speed. I'm more a fan of that one, quite frankly. The one thing I don't like about the first one I said is that it ultimately, this guy's talented enough as a passer to sit back there, and if you give him all day, he will find people.
And that's what Donovan's saying. So Donovan's saying the same point.
You can't not rush him. So you have to rush in a very disciplined, stay in your rush lanes, and not give him opportunities to escape the pocket. And that's really a big reason the Eagles lost the last game against the Commanders. They had like a big 4th and 11 scramble out the middle of it. Like, you have to be reliable and everything has to be pre-planned. So you got to be. You can't be more off the cuff. It's got to be organized, and that's a big thing for him. Don't let him. You can't let him out of the pocket, or you got to have somebody able to make a play if he tries to escape. But at the same time, you can't not rush and give him all day back.
Can Vic Fangio fool this kid? It sounds crazy that we got a rookie that you can't throw all sorts of exotic looks at. You can stem right before the snap and change whatever you're doing. You can disguise your plans.
Yeah.
Is it as easy as that? I guess is my question, because if we do all that stuff, then our defense has the possibility of making mistakes too, not getting quite to the right place when they're trying to stem late, going from 2 safeties to 1 high safety or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that in general, the Eagles do a fantastic job of hiding coverages and disguising things. I think that Vic's very good at that. He's been very good at it his whole career, whether it's a rookie quarterback or a veteran quarterback. I think it's something that Vic does well. And then outside of that, sometimes you don't got to fool him. You know what I mean? Like, you can just line up and play ball and not give him opportunities to make plays. And I think that at the end of the day, the Eagles are talented enough to play football that way this
Just
Sunday.
Cover everything.
They have great players. Don't get me wrong. Terry McLaurin's fantastic. Zach Ertz can make plays, especially in big-time moments. The Eagles have very good players.
Yeah.
Don't let this kid get out of the pocket, extend plays, apply pressure with a dominant rush. Kissimmee is out, right? Their best guard is out of the game. So I just think that, they're very good at disguising things, but I don't think that that's going to be the telltale of whether they win or lose this game. I think if they can rush the quarterback and not allow him to escape the pocket and stop the run, they're going to play very well defensively.
All right, coming up, more with Jason in studio.